This is Optimal Health Daily, episode 1045. What the Exercise Habit Did for Me by Babauta of Zen Habits.net. And I'm Dr. Neil. Welcome back to Optimal Health Daily, or welcome for the first time if you're new here. This is the podcast where I act as your very own personal narrator and read to you from some of the most popular health and fitness blogs online. Now, before we get to today's post, don't forget, for more inspiration, motivation, quotes, giveaways, and lots more, make sure you're on our mailing list at oldpodcast.com. And again, if you're in the States, I hope you had a wonderful and safe 4th of July holiday yesterday. All right, I'm sure you're excited to hear today's post, so let's get right to it and start optimizing your life. What the Exercise Habit Did for Me by Babauta of Zen Habits.net. There was a point in my life, back in 2005 and earlier, when I couldn't exercise regularly. I really wanted to. I knew I should, but I couldn't. Some of you might be in this boat today. I'm here to tell you that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. Not being able to exercise regularly is the norm, and it isn't a deficiency in who you are. It's a deficiency in your method. Today, I exercise on a very regular basis, anywhere from 4 to 6 times per week, depending on how you count. For example, is racing my kids up a hill or taking a 30-minute walk for pleasure considered exercise? What changed for me was I learned better methods. I didn't have to change who I was in order to start exercising. But here's the surprise for me. Exercising regularly changed who I was. I'm not the same person I was 9 years ago. I'm thinner and healthier with more muscle for one thing. But I've also gotten out of debt, improved my relationships, become a better dad, and started my own business. Did exercise do all that? Yes. It changed me in such powerful ways that I was able to achieve all of that. Here are a few of the ways the exercise habit has changed me. Number 1, I trust myself more. Before, when I started exercising, I didn't really believe in my ability to stick to the plan. I told myself I was going to, but there was always doubt. I've built trust by exercising regularly. This has made me much more likely to do everything else. Number 2, I'm healthier. People underestimate the impact that bad health has on the rest of your life, but I've discovered that investing time and energy into getting myself healthy pays off in big ways. I feel better all the time, which allows me to have the energy to work projects, for family, for learning. It took a while before I got healthier, but I noticed dramatic improvements in the first year, and then gradual but steady improvements for years after that. Number 3, I'm stronger and more confident. I honestly was in very bad shape before. This made me feel bad about myself and embarrassed. Now that I do strength training, run, walk, and play in various ways, I'm stronger, fitter, and feel great about myself. I'm comfortable taking my shirt off in public. I feel good walking around. Now, I'm not saying you should be embarrassed if you're fat. I'm only observing the change that I went through. Number 4, I'm setting a good example for my kids. My biggest contribution as a dad, besides just loving my kids, is the example I set for them. I can talk their ears off about responsibility and consideration and yada yada, but unless I walk the walk, the message doesn't really get to them. By exercising regularly and occasionally doing some crazy fitness stuff, I'm showing my kids what a healthy adult looks like, what a healthy lifestyle might be, what's possible. Number 5, I learned how to motivate myself. Exercise is mainly a problem of motivation. I've used exercise partners, public accountability, challenges, and more to motivate myself to exercise. I need those less now because I know how good exercise is for me, and I actually enjoy the process. But I can use what I learned to get myself to start other habits, like meditation and writing and healthy eating. Those are just 5 changes, but they're game changers. They have changed my entire life. They've completely changed me. I'm not at all the same person I was 9 years ago, and exercise has played a huge role in that. So what works in getting yourself to form the exercise habit? I mentioned a few above, but here's what I recommend. 1, make a big commitment to yourself and to others. Not big as in, I'll run 10 miles a day, but as in, I will absolutely not fail in this commitment. And do not let yourself fail. Number 2, pick a daily trigger. Something in your routine already that happens every day. Put up all kinds of reminders, physical and digital, so you don't forget to do your new habit when the trigger rolls around. Number 3, have a workout partner. This is the best method. If you can't, at least find an accountability group online. Number 4, enjoy the habit. This is really key. Don't punish yourself, but enjoy it. Number 5, don't miss 2 days in a row. Sometimes life gets in the way and you have to skip a workout for whatever reason. Don't allow it to happen twice in a row, ever. Number 6, start small. If you've read this site before, you knew I was going to say this, but it's so important. When I started running, I couldn't go for 10 minutes, so I went for 5, then 7, then 9. Eventually I ran a 5K, then a half marathon, then a marathon. Eventually I ran a 50-miler, but I started with just 5 minutes. And finally, number 7, just lace up your shoes and get out the door. That's all you should think about. It's so easy, you can't say no. You can do this. It'll change your life. You have just listened to the post titled, What the Exercise Habit Did for Me by Leo Babauta of ZenHabits.net. What I really like about Leo Babauta's post here is that it actually reflects a lot of what I tell my students when I teach them about changing their habits or helping others change their behaviors. He mentions starting small and using triggers. If you really enjoy this topic, one of the best videos out there is a TED Talk by a gentleman named B.J. Fogg. Dr. B.J. Fogg is actually a consultant up at Stanford University. He actually started in business and marketing, and he found that human behavior fascinated him. He and his students have developed a number of apps, many of them very, very successful for large companies like Facebook. So if you search for his TED Talk, just search TED Talk B.J. Fogg. He has a wonderful presentation on how to start small and how to set up those triggers for yourselves. It's worked like a charm. I've actually used it in practice quite a bit. So again, I feel like Leo's post here was right on the nose. And I was so glad to see that Leo was so successful with his behavior change. And that's it for today. I hope you have a great rest of your holiday weekend. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll be back here tomorrow as usual. So I'll see you there where your optimal life awaits.